Right. So now we have this weapon equip stuff that has been implemented at the previous tutorial. But here, as you can see, we sort of have an issue with our hand IK, where actually when the character is moving, the left hand is not properly aligned with the weapon. Right? The right arm is actually fine. The IK is there, but for the left arm, it's sort of like hanging on the air instead of actually touching the weapon, right? And somewhat similar issue is there at the pistol as well. You can see like the right arm is sort of going away from the pistol instead of uh, keeping it at the revolver, right? Or the weapon hold. Right, so let's fix those stuff. So in order to fix those stuff, actually we have to specifically control our character mannequin's skeletal bones, right? Uh, for example, like if I show you the mannequin skeleton at our TPS game essential. So this is the skeleton, and here we have to specifically control sort of bones related to hand, right? So that is called actually hand IK or inverse kinematics. And similarly, we can perform the kinematics for any bone, right? For example, we can perform it to hand, maybe we can perform it to leg, and maybe we can perform it to uh, spine or neck area as well, right? So actually, we can manipulate whatever the bone transform at the runtime when the animation is being played and it required, right? So let's add those skeletal controls. But in order to add those skeletal controls, we need certain configurations that is being defined at our data table, because our entire locomotion system is data driven, right? So nothing is hard coded. So based on the animation or anim set that we have, these IKs should be automatically get resolved, right? Instead of hard coding. So if you check our data table instance, for example, I'll choose pistol, and there inside movements we have configs, right? So I'll show the job configs. So there actually we can specify this hand IK as well. So currently you can see we have leg IK specific configurations, right? So for example, if I want to disable the leg IK, I can simply take this thing and disable it. And similarly, we need a sort of a data oriented setup for our hand IK as well, right? So then we can actually quite easily manipulate our skeletal bones when we require. Right. So in order to do that, I'll close everything except the mannequin and the data table because we need those stuff. Actually, the mannequin has been closed. So I'll open that again. Right. And let's create a new data structure for our hand IK. Right. Let's go to the data structs weapon, not the weapon, locomotion, movement. And let's open anim config as well. So there we have leg IK stuff. And similarly, we need hand IK stuff. So I'll create a specific folder called IK. And let's create a blueprint structure called S IK hand, or let's say hand IK and this hand IK should have IK specifically targeting for the left hand and right hand. And let's create another data structure called SIK and IK config. There, let's add few records. So obviously we should be able to like enable or disable IKs at runtime. So I'll create a new variable for that called disable hand IK, and we have to specify what's the location is being applied for this specific IK. So I'll add a new field called effector location. That is the location this IK is being affected, which is a vector. And we have to specify what's the joint target location of the hand IK. So I'll create a new location called joint target location. And we have to specify what's the bone that we are going to manipulate, right? So I'll specify it as joint target bone. Right. So this bone can be anything, but since we are specifically dealing with humanoid characters, I think maybe we can add an enumerator to specify this joint target bone, because since we have only 2 arms for a humanoid character. So I'll go to the enums. Inside the locomotion, I'll create a new blueprint enumeration called E underscore and IK bone type. Right. So we have lower arm and upper arm for a given arm. Right. For example, within this humanoid character, we have 2 arms, left and right, and mainly for a specific arm, there are multiple bones. But actually we can consider it as lower arm and upper arm for now, for the simplicity, right? And later on, if you need to manipulate multiple different bones for a given specific arm of a humanoid character, you can populate those stuff within this enumeration as well. But for now, I will simply add lower arm and the upper arm. Right, so we have this upper arm and lower arm. Right, maybe I'll add sort of a space there so it will be much more convenient. Right, and then let's add that to this joint target bone and IK bone type. Okay, so by default I'll disable hand IK because we need to enable it only when it is required. Otherwise, manipulating bones for the skeleton at each time will be sort of expensive task, right? And effector location, we can keep it as the origin point as its relative location. And for the joint target location, I'll add sort of a Y offset maybe like minus 50 will do. Later on, actually, we can tweak these values and see how it works. Maybe I'll keep this one as 0 as well, because I think this should be opposite for the left arm and the right arm. All right. So just for the safe side, I will keep everything as default. And let's go to the SIK hand IK, and I'll add that hand IK config there. Okay. Now at the default values of that specific data structure, let's add that target locations. So here it should be minus 50, and for the right hand it should be 50, which is the opposite of it. Right. And we can actually control the hand IK weight as well. So when it's been applied for the skeleton, we can sort of like control its strength, right? How much that IK should be applied for a specific bone. So in order to control that, I'll add weight as well. And I'll call it as weight. It should be the type of float. By default, I'll keep it as 1. Right. So now we are going to actually manipulate the existing anim config that is being used at the data table. So as you know, since we are going to manipulate a data structure, it's better to take a backup of this. Otherwise, sometimes it may give some inconsistency issues and it may lose your data, right? So let's take a backup. So I'll export as JSON to the image. Right. Now we can safely edit this stuff. So first let's add a field called hand IK. And I'll move it to here, and let's use SIK hand IK. Let's save it, and now the stuffs are there. Right. Now we have to go each and every individual data structure and hierarchically fix everything. Otherwise, you can see the data table is being broken, right? So don't save this instance, because if you save it, it will break. Instead, let's go through the hierarchy and fix the necessary stuff. The first thing, I guess, we have to go to this is any movement. And you can see it's been already broken because of this config manipulation. So I'll reset it and add it back. So now we are good to go. And then let's go to this any movement group. It has been broken as well, because these data structures has been changed. So I'll reset everything and let's add those stuff back. Yes, any movement. We are good to go. And then finally we can go outside of it and select this as anim set. It has been broken too. So there are two stuff that has been broken. Is anim general type. Yeah. So here sprint also broken. Let's fix it. Okay, we are good to go. And anim general. Sprint has been broken. Okay, we are good to go. And then let's go to this anim set. I'll reset everything, and this should be anim general, and this should be anim movement group. We are good to go. And finally, let's go to the data table and save. Right. So obviously the data has been lost because we have done some structural changes, but we can simply re-import it. Right. So click the re-import. So it will add all the necessary stuffs for you, but it will show like these sort of warnings because we currently haven't configured these stuff at our previous instance or the previous backup. But it will be fine. We can configure this stuff right now. Right. Let's simply click OK, and all the data will be there. Right. For the safe side, actually you can play test it as well. So here you can see everything is there. Okay. Right. So our IK config is correctly instantiated. So you can see if you select the pistol, movement, and any sort of a movement group, and inside the config we have this hand IK thing, right? That we can actually control the hand IK specifically, right? And yeah, uh, right. So in the next, I think in the next part we can discuss about how we can actually read this stuff at our NMBP and how we can actually manipulate our bonds by defining a specific anim layer. So let's discuss those stuff at the second part of this and IK section. See you there. Thank you.